Hi seniors, this is Mrs. Scribner from the Serrano Counseling Office here to talk with you today about the local scholarship program. I'm guessing that many of you are starting to think about next year and how much money it's going to cost to continue your education. As you know, once you graduate from high school, a free public education no longer exists. However, that should not be the reason to keep you from continuing on in your educational journey. The Serrano Local Scholarship Program is a program that is in place to help you get some scholarships or free money that you don't have to pay back to help cover the costs of college. Costs for tuition, books, fees, parking, travel, whatever it might be. So what exactly is the Local Scholarship Program? These are scholarships that are available only to Serrano students. They're sponsored by our school and community programs and organizations, and it's a program where there's one application that can be very easily adapted for each scholarship. Why are all of these things important? Well, when you're applying for scholarships, you're applying against all of the other students who are also interested in that same scholarship. If it's a national scholarship, you're competing with students across the country. If it's just a scholarship available to Serrano students, that drastically shrinks the application pool down to the largest number being the total class size at Serrano, which is right around 420 students right now. And then it shrinks it down even more because then you're just competing against those students who decide to apply for that particular scholarship. The school sponsors and community sponsors of these programs really like to do what they can to recognize you as a Serrano student and your classmates as Serrano students, so that's why they're here taking part in this program. Finally, if you've started looking at scholarships, it can be a little overwhelming because there's so many possibilities and they all have a different application process. The Serrano Local Scholarship Program uses one application that you will use for each scholarship that's offered. Normally, when you're here on campus, we're going to give you a packet. That packet is going to be available for you online instead, since we can't actually be in person with you right now. So what exactly is in the packet? There's several different pieces, and we're going to go over each one. But to get started, here's the list. There's a requirement list that tells you what you need to do. Then there's a listing of all of the local scholarship possibilities. Then there's an application example. So what you're going to see in this packet just shows you what the application looks like and what those questions are. You will need to go and download the application from the counseling webpage, and you need to make sure that you understand that all applications must be typed. So don't just download and print it and then write in your answers. You want to make sure that you use the fillable PDF format and you type all of your responses. And then finally, there's a cover sheet that you're going to use to list all of your applications that you decide to apply to in alphabetical order. So I'm going to go over all of those pieces with you so that you have a bit of an idea of what that means. So if we look at the requirement list, it's going to give you those step-by-step instructions that you're going to need to follow when you're ready to start filling out your applications. Below that, there are the check-in dates and times. So that means when are these due? They're going to be due here in the counseling office starting on April 5th. And you have that whole week, April 5th through the 9th, to come into the counseling office to turn in your applications. We're going to go over each of these things in a little bit more detail. So which scholarships are available? There's two different sets of scholarships. The first are the ones that don't have anything required other than completion of the Serrano Local Scholarship application. So on this first page, over on the left-hand side, you'll see the name of the scholarship. And then over on the right-hand side of each scholarship is the requirement for that particular scholarship. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go through and look at each of those requirements to see which ones you might qualify to apply to. A lot of times students will tell us, oh, I'm not going to apply for any scholarships. There aren't any that apply to me. Those are only for students who get like straight A's or something like that. But I'm here to tell you that there's actually a lot of scholarships that don't have a high GPA requirement, and some of them have no GPA requirement. Some of them are open to you just simply because you are a Serrano student. So I know of at least 2 or 3 scholarships in this list that every single one of our seniors could and should apply to. So please make sure that you look at all of them and you apply to at least one, if not more. The next grouping of scholarships that you're going to see over on the right-hand side of this screen, these are scholarships that have an extra requirement along with the application. So they all are going to ask you to complete the application, but then some of them might ask you to write an essay, to provide a letter of recommendation. They might have their own application that they need you to use. So all of those things that are extra or in addition to the application, they're going to be highlighted and underlined, so it makes it pretty easy for you to see exactly what you need to do. So these are the first 2 pages. Then we've got another couple of pages with a few more listed. Anytime there's one that says there's an additional application or a separate application, we're going to make sure that you have access to those applications as well. And I'm going to tell you where you're going to find those in just a bit. Okay, the next thing you're going to see is an example of what the application looks like. It's pretty straightforward. It's not super in-depth. But you want to make sure that you take the time to really think about your responses and how your response fits with the particular scholarship for which you are applying. So even though you could technically submit the same application with the same responses for any of these scholarships, you might want to just ask yourself, should I maybe adapt an answer here or there depending on the scholarship? And then over on the right-hand page, you see the one that says local scholarship submissions. So when we go over the specifics of how you're going to turn in your applications, this is just going to be a master list where you're going to write down the names of all of the scholarships for which you are applying. So when you come to check them in, we'll say, okay, looks like you're turning in 5 applications and they're all listed right here. So now we're going to go through your applications and we're going to make sure that all 5 are there and that anyone that might require something extra, you've added that extra piece too. And then whoever in the counseling office checks you in is going to make sure that, let's say it's me, that I agree that everything is there, and then you're also going to sign saying, yes, they're all here. So that way, there's never a doubt of which scholarship applications you've turned in. All right, moving on. So here's the process once again. You're going to access this scholarship packet on the Counseling Scholarship page of the Serrano website. This presentation will be made available to you, so you can click on the link right here, the one that's in yellow that says Serrano Counseling webpage /scholarships, or you can just simply go to the Serrano High School website, find the counseling section, and choose the tab for scholarships. We're going to have this at the very top of our scholarship page so that you'll be able to easily find everything that you need for the local scholarship program. You're going to download the scholarship packet, and you're going to review all of the scholarships that are available and determine which ones you qualify to apply for. Then you're going to access the link for the online fillable application on that same scholarship page. It's going to be right below where that packet's going to be. And then if there's a special application, like I've said, it will also be available right there online. Then for each scholarship, you're going to complete a separate application. So like I was mentioning earlier, if you decide you're going to apply to 5 scholarships, you're going to fill out a separate application for each one. Then once so let's say you've done your first one, you've gone through, you filled in all of the information, you're good. Once you've completed that application, you want to save it or print it. Then once you've printed it, go back, change the name from the first scholarship to the correct name for the next scholarship, and then repeat the process. Save it, print it, make sure that you have everything that you need. You're going to repeat this process until you have a separate application for each scholarship. So if you want to apply to 7 scholarships, you're going to have 7 printed applications or saved separately on your computer. You're also going to make sure that you have the correct name of each scholarship on each application. We would hate for you to be applying to the Phelan Chamber of Commerce scholarship with the name of the Pizza Factory scholarship. That selection committee might have an issue if you can't get the name of their scholarship correct. So make sure that you have the correct name. And then, like I said earlier, you might want to consider adapting your answers just a bit to make sure that your responses make sense for that particular scholarship. So a lot of times students will say, well, why do I have to have a separate application if it's all the same program? The reason is that each scholarship has their own selection committee. So that means that all of the applications for a particular scholarship will be bundled up and sent to the selection committee for that particular scholarship. So I can't share one application with 7 different groups of selection committees, so that's why we have to have 7 copies of that scholarship. And then again, can't say this enough, some of those scholarships do require an additional piece beyond the standard application, so you want to make sure that you get all of those pieces taken care of as well, and that they're also attached. Then finally, you're going to type in the names of each application on that page at the very end called the Local Scholarship Submission page. All applications have to be turned in either by the student or the parent or guardian of the student. The reason why we require this is sometimes when students come in with their list, we'll find that they're missing a piece. And we want to be able to tell the student or the parent, hey, this piece is missing, but you still got a couple of days to come in and turn them in. And we can make sure that we're telling the student or the student's parent. If a friend comes in and we tell them that, they may or may not remember to tell their friend that they were missing a piece, and they need to get that added to their application in order to finalize their application. So that's why we require all students to turn in their own scholarship applications, or the parent of the student or guardian of the student can turn them in. So now, if you're not able to come to Serrano to submit your applications, we are more than happy to work with you. And so if that's going to be you, what we're going to ask you to do is to contact our office secretary, that's Alma Ramos, and our phone number is listed there. And you can always just call the school and ask for the counseling office, and you will be connected to our office. So to review those application dates again, or the submission dates, that's Monday, April 5th, Tuesday, April 6th, Wednesday, April 7th, Thursday, April 8th, and Friday, April 9th. You can come in anytime to the counseling office between the hours of 7 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Now, if there's a chance that we might be back on campus in some sort of a hybrid model, obviously you can turn them in during the times that you're on campus. And we'll allow you to come in whenever it works within your class schedule. Just know that you can't miss class to turn in your applications. That would not be an excused absence. So unless you have express teacher permission to leave your class to come to the counseling office, or to not log into your class online if you're still online, then you need to make sure that you know up front that we can't clear your absence for turning in your applications. You can turn them in before or after class time. Finally, there's a lot of information, so you might end up having some questions or needing some help once you sit down to actually work on your scholarship applications. If that is the case, please, 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 as within all situations, we want you to contact your counselor, because we are here to help you. So you'll see all of our names, our alphabet split, and our contact information, both our emails and our phone numbers. So right now, some of the counselors are working at home and some are here at school. So you can find the best way to get in touch with us by looking at that information. And you can also always go to our counseling website. That information is there. Now, normally when we're in the classroom and we're doing this, we give students a chance to ask us some questions, but can't do that in a non-live situation. So that's why it's going to be more important than ever that you reach out to us either through email or through a phone call. So when you go to turn in your applications, this page, this requirement list, is going to tell you exactly what you need to do. Each application is going to be arranged the same way. You're going to have the application on top, any attachments like those extra essays or letters of recommendation or whatever it might be. And then finally, we attach a transcript to each application. Now, normally we would give you a copy of the transcript so that you can make copies and attach it, but can't do that in this situation. So when you turn in your applications, we will make sure that we print your transcript and that we attach it to each application. And then if for some reason you want a copy for your own records, you just need to contact Alma here in our office and she'll be happy to get that sent to you. I hope that this has been a helpful presentation for you. I really encourage all of you to seriously consider applying for at least one, if not more, of these scholarships. This is a great way for you to have access to some free money that you don't have to pay off. Finally, it's important to understand that there are a lot of great ways for you to access other scholarships. The number one way that we recommend is by setting up an account with a program called Going Merry. Going Merry is a scholarship search engine. So that means that you're going to fill out a profile, and then they're going to use that information to help match you to some potential scholarships. And then they let you know which scholarships they think you might want to apply for. The nice thing about Going Merry that's different than other search engines is that they then have a common application. So kind of like our local scholarship program has that one application that you use for all of the scholarships, Going Merry does the same thing. So it drastically reduces the amount of time that you spend completing applications. Makes it feel a little less overwhelming, and makes it a little bit more possible for you to apply to many scholarships instead of just one or two here and there. So I would recommend that you go to our school counseling website, and you go to the scholarship tab, just where you're going to find the local scholarship application information, and you check out Going Merry. There's instructions there for how to set up an account, and it helps get you going pretty quickly and easily. So good luck with all of this. We will look forward to getting your applications and getting those out to the selection committees. Again, if you have any questions, make sure you reach out to your counselor. We miss all of you. Can't wait for the day that we can see you on campus.